Test. Test.
They said the new changes won't take place until next year. I can't keep up. I followed it when it first happened, and I just kind of. But they changed the voting site. Good afternoon. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education regular board meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Board members, I call your name. Could you please state present for the record? Trustee King?
Present.
Trustee Luna?
Present.
Trustee Relaford? Vice President McIntyre?
Present.
Assistant Secretary Booz? Present. Secretary Perkins?
Present.
Myself, President McNeil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 for present.
Oh, you don't think I'm here?
You're here, but I have for the record.
I didn't hear your name.
Yeah,
I didn't hear
that's
you.
okay. No problem. 7 present, 0 absent. I will now call upon Secretary Perkins to read the district mission statement and first statement in the standard practice.
Okay.
Page 3.
I got it. District mission statement. It is the mission of the Flint School District to develop a community of learners who are prepared to live, work, and contribute in an ever-changing society. The Flint Board of Education standards of practice in order to provide outstanding leadership and better serve the Flint community schools. We, the members of the Flint Board of Education, commit to the following standards of practice. Number 1, we will be consistent in our dealings with each other, as well as students, staff, and community.
Okay. Number 2, we will model trustworthiness and honesty in our relationship with each other, with the superintendent, and with our constituents.
We will focus on a common goal of providing the best education possible for the students in the Flint Community Schools.
We will respect the diverse view that each of us bring to the organization, as well as the view of others that we interact with as we carry out the business of the Board of Education.
We'll be open and authentic with each other, our staff, and community.
As we work to make decisions, we will focus on issues, not personalities.
Our decisions will be student-centered and based on objective facts.
We will practice good listening skills to better understand our fellow Board of Education members and constituents.
Thank you. In your package, We have the minutes. I seek a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the December the 4th, 2024 special board meeting, December the 13th, 14th, and 15th, 2024 special board meeting, board retreat, and the December 18th, 2024 regular board meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Support.
It has been properly moved and second. Are there any discussion? Are there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 18th will be conducted by roll call vote. As I call your name, say yes or no. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Relaford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
And myself, yes. 7 yes, 0 no. The board now hear comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matters within the authority of the board and not address individuals by name. Please state your name before beginning to speak. The presiding officer of the board shall have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
Yes.
Please state your name and kind of speak clearly into your mic.
Nick Custer, resident at 428 Crapo Street. And good evening, board. I'm here to address agenda item 21.8. As a resident and a third-generation resident of the neighborhood, I have seen the best of our schools in the 90s when they were bustling there on Crapo, and I have seen the worst when they were hastily left abandoned, unsecured, and essentially left to be scrapped and rotted over the past decade and a half. I feel there are many different opinions as to how we should move forward in this community to give our kids the best future. And I think that often the decision makers are not people affected by the decisions that they make. And so I'd like to provide some perspective from someone who does experience these schools 24/7. I think it's really, really important to say that I tentatively would like to support this. I tentatively would like to support it because I have seen designs over the past 15 years, 2 to 3 different designs that were dropped on the community that were not what the community needed. That often that iterations of this board, iterations of our funders have seen the value of the cultural center but have not looked across the street at the value of the pre-existing neighborhood, many of which those houses were built before that school was placed there. And so I would like to just ask that this board take very seriously this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and take the time to consider the people that are spending their whole lives in that neighborhood, that are affected day in and day out. A few instances that you may or may not know had you gone to Central, worked at Central, or hung out in the area in the 90s. If there was no logistic ability when there were 4 schools to have that school served. Every single day, twice a day, there were cars blocking every residential on one side, and there were buses blocking all the spaces on the rest. This is when we had 4 community schools. I can't imagine it'll be much better when we have 1. I would also like to just have you consider that the footprint of the building, because those houses are pre-existing, may be an important thing to keep, to preserve as much of the structure and its footprint. A 5-story building that close to the road can also cause issues for those homes. Shade, block sunlight, cause other issues that we may not have thought about, including noise and pollution. A few other things that you may not have considered that the residents every single day that use these community facilities that live across from them do consider. We have watched for arson for the past 15 years in that unsecured building. I think many of us love the look, the feel, the classicism that Central and Whittier have given us, the sense of pride in our community. I'm also extremely worried that we will be dropped on something that's more equivalent to our cartoonish THA Carmen Ainsworth design, something that will have no historicity, something that will not put pride in our students and be purely a cost-effective solution. I ask that the community, and specific residents that live on Crapo, 2nd, Avon, and the adjoining areas that will be affected by the traffic pushed to the school from all the expressways, for Robert T. as well as Court, are included in an advisory committee and are allowed to have a real opinion and a real say in how this development moves forward. So for the next 100 years, we can avoid these kinds of problems and we can continue a dialogue as good neighbors instead of agitated neighbors. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, what was his name?
Nick Custer.
You got the first name?
Good evening. My name is Sarah Scheitler. I am also a resident of Crapo Street in the Central Park neighborhood. I support the approval of the agenda item. I think it's 21.9. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. But the contract to start the process for a new high school. In general, I think that the use of available funds to build a state-of-the-art educational facility for the Flint students is of utmost importance. I want Flint Community Schools to succeed because a strong Flint doesn't exist without a strong public school system. So thank you for that. That said, I have deep ambivalence over the choice to locate the facility at the Central and Whittier campus. First, I also fear a loss of the beautiful historic structures that have such cultural significance with our residents, not in our neighborhood, but citywide, even region-wide. To that end, I ask that you try to preserve as much of the facades as possible to maintain that feel and that history. Second, any development on the site is going to inherently change the character and functioning of our neighborhood. This is literally my front yard, and the demolition, reconstruction, and normal operations of a new school will impact me 24/7. In my time here since 2016, Flint Community Schools has not always been the best neighbor, resulting in the significant degradation of the buildings and continued safety issues for the neighborhood, including, like Nick mentioned, the arson, shootings, and blight. I don't feel like a trusting relationship has yet been built between the school system and the neighbors. Given the immense impact this will have on our residents, the least I can ask is that you respect your neighbors and allow us meaningful input on the design of the property and the campus. And I'm confident that when we work together, we can have a stronger result that supports everything the Flint kids need for their education while also increasing the quality of life for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
What was her name?
Sarah Sightline.
You know,
Good evening, hey everybody.
Speak clearly, your name is.
Yes,
Thank
my name is Ryan Boytine. I'm a resident of Mott Park. I've been there 13 years, former public school teacher also, and I came tonight to support the proposal to pursue conversations about renovating Central. Having been here 13 years, my wife is from the area too, been involved in a lot of different forms of education. I feel like the best way to put it would be that offense is your best defense, and I've seen Flint trying to play defense a lot, trying to make sure stuff doesn't get sucked away and pulled away. But what I see here is the conversation is starting to turn towards offense. How can we create something that will draw in, will create, an enticing pull towards the school system? And so I wanted to come and just support it simply. I think there have probably been a lot of good points made, and I want to agree with those. And just say, as a parent of three, I've got 3 kids. We've been in the city for a while and tried to figure out how education works when you're trying to raise a family in the city, but we're committed, we're supportive of it, and we could see a lot of benefits coming from this. So I just wanted to say thank you for bringing it up, and I support it, and hope you have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, school board. My name is Joel Arnold. Was a former resident of Crapo Street for 3 years. Now live just about a half a mile away. And similar to the comments we've heard earlier, I'm here just to speak in support of Resolution 21.8. And I kind of want to speak on it just for 2 real reasons. One, this really is, I think, in many ways, the ideal location for a public high school. So many of the suburban districts we compete with, their high schools are, on a campus off a road somewhere that nobody can walk to, that's in a cornfield. And we have an ability as a district and as a city to have a high school that's next door to a community college, next door to the largest cultural center in our state, next door to amenities that kids in Birmingham and Royal Oak would kill to have near their high school. And yet we can provide the resources that much better resource districts do not have. And that's an amazing advantage as we live in a world, whether we like it or not, of school choice and competition. Additionally, this site has been noted for, probably since Central closed, but at least since 2013 in city planning documents and in other documents as an ideal site for a Central public high school. So this is a conversation this community's been having for more than a decade and writing down in plans for more than a decade. And so I think it's so exciting to see this. And I think the comments that current residents of Central Park raise, issues around traffic, issues around congestion, these are good. These are the problems of growth, right? These are problems that we as a city have not been, I guess, fortunate enough to deal with in a long time. And so what a blessing to us if we can get in a position where we're dealing with problems of growth, not problems of decline. So the second thing I want to speak to, and I know it was mentioned earlier as well, is the importance in doing this to try and preserve this gorgeous, historic, beautiful landmark that our city has. Over the years, we've seen a lot of historic structures that were derelict for a long time, whether it was the Durant or the Capitol Theater or Atwood, restored. But I think the message that this building can send is this is a building that will still be owned by the people, right, and governed by an elected school board that's chosen by the people. And that's something in our city that really, apart from our public library, we lack as a publicly owned building. And so I think when we talk about this space, oftentimes we've seen in other communities, and oftentimes in our own community, this desire to just knock everything down, start fresh, wipe out the past. But I think whether it's recent restorations we've seen in our own city, like the Durant, like the Capitol, other cities like Michigan Central Station, right? Facilities that were vacant and derelict far longer than Flint Central has been vacant and derelict for, be reused for modern purposes. I ask that we reject this sort of choice that the only way to move forward is to throw away our history and throw away this structure, the message that would send. I really encourage this board and the architects working on this project and the team to value this structure, to value this history, and the message that can send to people in our community that we can provide world-class, top-notch, best educational facilities in our county and region, while at the same time preserving a structure that, I'll tell you, as someone who works in real estate development, you could never build that again. It would be cost prohibitive. So once it's gone, it's really gone forever. So I really appreciate this board for acting as a model of collaboration. I appreciate this agenda item and you guys working towards this, and I hope you consider my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Andrew Watchhorn. I live at 918
Your name again?
East Kersley.
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Andrew Watchhorn. I live at 918 East Kersley, which many of you may know is at the intersection of where the school district and the College Cultural Center meet. I would like to state one thing, which I know the board may be aware of, some members, that at the administration building, both of your light posts have fallen down and are now pointed in my living room window. So that might be something to consider. But I also am here to tell you that I support the proposal to repurpose Central with money that comes as an additional benefit for you all to make a change that takes a building that has been an asset. I will say that I was a student teacher at Flint Central in the year 2000. I had a tremendous experience there. At that time, Central was absolutely an asset, and I know people on this board have said this is an asset we must be very careful with. But as I walk by that building now on my daily walks, this is also a liability. I can imagine someone getting into that building and burning it down and spreading some of the chemicals that we now see from fires raging in LA onto our neighborhoods. So this is a liability for the school district, and it's something that can be and needs to be taken care of. The design is up to you all, but I would also echo some of my street mates, my neighbors' concerns about including the neighborhood association in design planning, and also considering that there are very, very well understood ways to preserve aspects of a building that we all may see as an asset to the community and something that people are attached to. I went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and their old North High School, I forget what it's actually called, it was the Freeze building when I was there, but it was a high school building that the university repurposed into a dorm, but they kept the facade. So there are very clever ways to keep some of our history while also improving the building. And one last point, I also did observation during my time at university learning to be a teacher at Cass Tech. So I spent many days going into the old Cass Tech building, which is a beautiful 1920s building. They removed that building, which I think is unfortunate, but they did take the opportunity to replace it with a world-class building, and I have taught robotics and supported robotics events at the new Cass Tech building, and it is drawing students to that district. So please take this opportunity to look carefully at what this money can do to turn what may be a liability now into an asset for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good evening, everyone. Ashney, A-S-H-N-E-E, like Ashney's Dunning, formerly Young. And I came here today to, first of all, just thank you all for your service. It's not easy to sit where you're sitting and take all of these opinions. And I came to speak in support of the renovation of Central. I am not a resident across the street, though my mother did attend Central at some point. So I appreciated all of those perspectives. And for me, as the executive director of the Flint Freedom Schools Collaborative, you all got an email from me a few hours ago. Our interest is to be in alignment with the school district. And we are really hopeful that through this process, you'll be very intentional about figuring out what the people are interested in and implementing some type of solution that will be equitable and inclusive in the process. So I really just came to just affirm you all in the work that you're doing. I wanted you to see my face, to say that we at the Flint Freedom Schools Collaborative, we have wonderful culture. So we are in alignment from my board. My board knows that we are here to support you and in alignment with Flint Community School District, all the way to our team members. And that's what I have to say. I look forward to seeing what you all come up with for this process, but I trust each of you to do so. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Flint Board of Education. My name is Derek Dorman, and I am a Flint resident. I'm here today to speak to my full support for agenda item 21.8. I think that a long-term plan to redevelop the Flint Central and Whittier campus into the city's main high school, middle school campus is so critical to our future. It's right next door to one of the best collection of cultural institutions in the nation and our community college, meaning that the opportunities for a great education are really limitless. However, as a Flint resident, I am also asking that any work to redevelop this campus also center around historic preservation of the building. As we've seen in our own city, whether it's the Durant, the Capitol Theater, the restoration of other schools like Coolidge or Oak Street, we can provide top-notch modern facilities without erasing our city's history. The recent redevelopment of Michigan Central Station in Detroit, which sat empty for nearly 40 years, is an example of how preserving our history for future use can bring a community together and serve such a deeper purpose than another generic new building can. I firmly believe that Flint kids deserve the best, and we have a chance here to provide them that in a way that preserves our history and brings arguably Flint's greatest landmark back to shine for our entire city once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Flint Board of Education. Chad Slosher here. I'm a parent of 3 students at DTM and also want to lend my support in favor of this agreement with Plant Moran to start the process of designing and imagining a new high school for the city of Flint. I think that I will be brief because I think you guys are working together and in agreement and want to see this happen, and I want to see this happen too. I think Flint Community Schools has been making some statements these last couple years with the work that's happened at Potter and Brownell Homes and Doyle Ryder and more to come, and I think this is the next step, the next statement that we need to tell the world, truly, that Flint Community Schools is here to stay, that there's a future, that we're not just going to be absorbed into a larger entity. We're not just going to tell our kids to go find some other school or find some suburban school or charter school, those places can turn our kids away if they don't have the right record or they don't have space for them or whatever. But Flint's community schools cannot turn kids from Flint away. They have to welcome the children of our city into our schools. And so we need a statement like this. We need a high school. A lot of people have told me that the elementary schools in FCS are good. Send your kids there, and when they get to middle school, then get out of there. And I don't want to do that. Our kids are still in elementary school, but high school is not that far away. I don't want to do that. I want to be a part of FCS until, through my kids' graduation and beyond, and I would love to see this project take place. I think more than a statement to outside entities, I think it's a statement to our own youth, to our own kids, that they matter, that they have a place where they can belong, where they can be curious, where they can imagine a future for themselves and their community, and letting them know we want you right here in the middle of our city, not on the outskirts, not in a corner where nobody can see you. We want you right here as part of our community. You are important, is critical. But I also want to just say that I'm not just here to try to tell you what to do. I also am here to offer my help if I can serve on a committee or offer any feedback on the design plans or interface with various stakeholders or organize parents, or even if you just need someone to pick up trash on the property. Most of y'all have my number. You just let me know. I'm happy to partner with you guys to see this happen. So thanks for your work. Thanks for serving the children of our city, and thanks for considering this tonight.
Thanks, Chad. Next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Farah. I live at 224 East Court Street, Flint, Michigan, and I am a proud graduate of the Flint Community Schools. Not just any school, but I think you can guess where this is going, Flint Central High School. And not just me, I was not the only one in my family to graduate from Flint Central. My father, who's here with me, was also a graduate of Flint Central High School in 1981, and my grandmother was also a graduate of Flint Central High School in 1948. And my family helped to build, alongside other immigrants, the oldest Assyrian church in the nation, which is still standing over 100 years later on Flint's east side. And my grandmother was one of the first women in our family to graduate college, Flint Junior College, which y'all might know or remember, and a proud graduate of the University of Ann Arbor, and she came back to be a teacher in Flint. And I say this all to talk about legacy, to talk about not just my family's legacy, but to talk about our community's legacy and our city's legacy, and Flint Central is key to that. And it's very much where a lot of my own legacy began. And so I was the second to the last graduate of Flint Central High School. And in my freshman year, I was proud to walk the halls of that school. I felt the history, not of just my city, but of my family surrounding me. And I knew I wasn't there to only receive an education, but that I was part of a tradition that was much greater than me. And unfortunately, that was a privilege that I held, but that one that my younger brother, just 2 years younger than me, wasn't able to have because of, at that time, the board's decision to close the school. But I have hope. I have hope in all of you, and I have hope in our city that future generations will be able to have that same experience of legacy. And I'm so excited about the direction and about the opportunity that you all have to do a couple things that kind of come once in a generation, I think, to not just protect and ensure the future of our scholars by investing in them in a new high school, but specifically investing in a cultural institution that has sat vacant and dormant for far too long. And so I just wanted to come and express my gratitude truly as a citizen, as a committed citizen to this community, to the direction that this board is heading, and to really show my support to not just the rebuilding, not just the building of a high school, right, but specifically the choice to invest in Flint Central High School is something that's centrally located. It's the cultural heartbeat of our city in many, many ways. And it's walkable. Sorry, I'm rambling now because I see the time going, but it's walkable. I used to walk to high school, so it's not just about the location, it's about the cultural heritage, and it's about investing in our kids' future. And so thank you for considering this proposal, and I hope that y'all support it.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to invite Clark Construction to join us for the renovation update.
Good evening. Thank you, Board. Thank you, Superintendent Jones, for the opportunity to come and just show where we're at right now with the new Cube project at the Brownell Homes campus, along with an update on where we stand right now with the ESSER projects. So to get started, this was a photo taken back in mid-late October. So this is just the track, the new track and football field, soccer, along with where the basketball courts are, pickleball courts. So right now, nothing has changed on that. The work that's remaining to be done, and it'll be completed in the spring of '25, is the surface material that will be put on the track. The football soccer field will be seeding that and getting grass established. And then there's some miscellaneous landscaping that needs to be done between some areas around that area, and then as well as around the two new playgrounds, which are next up on the presentation. So the picture on the left was taking, so that's the K-5 playground. That was taken in October. The picture on the right is right after we got the surfacing in, so that would have been the first part of November. At this point, everything is done. It has been certified. It's turned over for use. The next photo is, so this is the pre-K, the ECDD playground. This was once again taken in October. And the next one, this one was taken in November as well, right after the surface was wrapped up. So there's finishing up some miscellaneous things. There is a few punch list items that are remaining to be done, which will be completed in the spring of '25, which is some seating around the perimeter of that, along with some landscaping on both this playground and the other one. And then there is a piece of damaged equipment that is not a safety issue, and they decided that we'll leave it until the spring to take it and replace that piece of equipment that's damaged. So those things we're tracking right now, and that'll be done in the spring. And we'll do that so that the kids are still able to use that playground. However, when we do that, it'll just be off hours so that it doesn't impact the use of that space. The next piece, so I added this is to basically the floor plan. So the gray area, that's Brownell. And then the white area, that is the new connector and the cube. And why I put that in here is just so we can talk about, and I wish I brought a pointer, but I don't have one, what you're about to see on the next few slides, which are some pictures of the construction. So this is the picture on the left, or on the right, excuse me, is the connector. So that is looking towards homes, standing at Brownell's entrance, looking towards homes. You can see the trenches. That is the footings that have been put in. The photo on the left is just it's further down on the roof of Brownell, so you can just see what's going on. So you'll see in the one little photo, there's some guys kind of in a hole. That's where the elevator shaft is. So this next photo, which was taken Monday, you'll see what you see here is the photo on the left is actually the connector. And the tenant area, that is where the gross motor room is. So that's an enclosure so we can build the masonry walls. And then if you look at that photo, you can see kind of this wall protruding up above that containment area. That's the elevator shaft. And then, so the next photo on the right is just another photo of the connector, so you can see the windows as it's going towards the cube. The next photo is, so this is just, once again, the photo on the left is the containment area for, so we can heat it and build the gross motor room walls. And the next two photos are just inside that area, so you can see that was all taken Monday. Currently, they didn't work Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday because of the cold, but we're able to get two walls almost up to height. So we're on track right now. Schedule update, we're on track to have the single-story masonry, so that would be the connector and the gross motor room to be wrapped up on 125, weather dependent. The steel erection, so that will be putting all the steel together and starting that process will begin on 127 with the low roof area of the masonry we've got in. Steel will be completed the end of the first week in March, which at that point we will begin roughing in for electrical, plumbing, our heating and cooling systems will begin rough in of that work the second week in March. Also glazing, so I want to go back to the very first photo. So when I talk glazing, I'm talking the glass. So what I'm talking about is if you look at that photo of the cube, that glass is what we'll start putting in April. So you'll see that going in and around the building. So that is where we are schedule-wise currently within the next 2 months. Next month I'll have more photos and more updates, but currently we're on track and we're on schedule to be completed September 5th of 2025. So is there any questions regarding the cube project right now?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for the presentation. Just one question and one kind of tongue-in-cheek comment. How many square feet is a cube again?
It is 5,000 per floor, so it's a total of roughly 10,000 some square feet.
Okay, and just, I think you said this a while back, but a lot of this work is done by like union skilled trade labor?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, again, this next comment's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but like, I'm just thinking this school, Potter, door writer, et cetera, we've been, giving them a lot of like contracts to do some good work, right? And then we have a lot of these vacant properties. So specifically, we had tore down in Washington 2-ish years ago. It'd be nice if maybe sometime in the future to give back to us for, working with them in conjunction, if they could do like a playground or track on some of these fields with their, with their support. But just wanted to put that out there. Thank you though, appreciate it.
Trustee Perkins.
I was wondering about the glass in the cube.
Yes.
Is that plexiglass or?
No.
Are you
So
concerned about vandalism on that
That
before you
glass-
finish?
Sorry to interrupt you. No, that glass it's what we call a curtain wall. So it is a structural glass, so it's not easily vandalized. It's not like someone could shoot a BB gun into it and crack the glass. It's not like that. So this is more of a structural glass. I mean, it could be vandalized with paint and stuff, but it takes a little more to vandalize the glass. Now, I mean, a bullet would cause some cracking, but not a BB gun or just throwing stones at it isn't gonna necessarily crack the glass.
Okay. Superintendent Jones.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Metner, for your presentation. To add to this presentation, I would like to just remind the board the work that you've done with allowing the committee to work with Brownell Homes and the neighborhood group being a part of that. They were a part of that process from the schematic design of that, and they're still going to be a part of that work until we have completed the cube, in which they will have a room in that space, which we've talked about that being the future, making sure that we're connecting with our Flint neighborhood associations. This board and the superintendent has been to the Flint Public Library several times, has done presentations to that area to ensure that they are in the know of what Flint Community Schools is doing. And so our next meeting with the Brownell Homes Neighborhood Association will be February 7th with our partners, with the committees, so that we're talking about the cube and we're moving the construction timeline along with the programming timeline. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that, and we will give you that timeline once we get with the group and create the programming timeline with our neighborhood association. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to give just another, sorry.
I think we got one. Trustee Rutherford.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to touch base just a little bit on the ESSER projects and where we are with that, and as we're wrapping that up. So bid pack 6, which was roof replacements, so Potter Homes, DTM are complete. and I've submitted to the state for certificates of completion for that. Brownell will wrap up that roof once we do the roof for the cube and tie all that stuff together. The equipment pre-purchase is completed. Potter Renovations is completed. I actually got the letter back from the state today. Home STEM will be completed in the spring. Brownell STEM is complete. I'm just waiting on one piece of report so we can submit it to the state, and we'll be done there. The 3 gyms, Potter, Holmes, and Brownell, are complete and are turned over for use at the school. As of December, the end of December, the PA systems at Freeman, DTM, Eisenhower, and Southwest were completed, and we had inspections the end of last week, and they all passed, so we're working on that. So right now, all the ESSER work is scheduled to be completed by the summer of '25, which is well ahead of the extension that was filed for the ESSER grant. So just an update. It's great news that we just have a few little things that we need to wrap up, and we'll be done with that. So is there any questions related to that work?
How you doing?
Good.
Good job. It's just the soft person in me. It's cold outside. With you all working on the cube, do you have days where if it's too cold, you guys will not work? Or you guys are tough and it doesn't matter?
I'm not tough, but, but no, I will say that for the most part, like the last 2 days, the only work we have going on right now is masonry work. The last 2 days, because it's been so cold, even though we have winter conditions set up and we're heating that, we can't keep, because it's not insulated, the heat just goes through. So the last 2 days, because of the sub-zero temperatures, we have not worked. Because what happens with masonry is you go to as it's curing, and it cools down way too fast, it'll start cracking. So you'll see cracks in the walls. If we grout, I don't want to get too deep into it, but
you answered my question, because I was going to say the curing can't take place. I know a little bit about that. But that big glass, is there any way it could be shatterproof? I know that may be a little bit more costly, but I think it's worth it.
Let me look into that.
Okay.
And get a little more detail on what that
Right.
glass looks like.
What would that look like if it was shatterproof because of the significant amount of glass that's there? And I think quality is just good when it comes to renovations and shiny buildings. I think everything looked great. I haven't seen it. I wanted everything to be complete, and now that I see the word complete, I would definitely make my way and clap for you all. It looks like you've done a lot of great work, and I just appreciate the consistency of the quality and you answering all questions. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Vice President McIntyre.
Yes, thank you for another wonderful update. I really appreciate you coming before us. I know it's not always the most pleasant experience. With just back a little bit to the cube schedule, it says the masonry is targeted to be updated to be complete this Saturday. Is that for real?
Yes.
Okay, so by this Saturday, that's going to be done.
The lower level, so that we can start the structural steel. So it's
Okay.
bearing walls on the lower, so that would be the connector piece and the, I'll go back to that slide. It'll be the connector, oops, too far.
Right, I know what it is.
And the gross motor room,
But
right.
it just seemed, it's in a couple days, so just, and it's on a Saturday, so I just wanted to know if, there's any possibility that that's going to be delayed at all, or?
No, they actually will work Sunday too. We've already had a conversation about that because
Okay.
they need to be done, because steel has to start on 127. Steel will start on 127 as per schedule. They are well aware of it. They know the process. They need to have their bearing walls, so the walls that are supporting those steel columns or steel beams need to be installed. That's what they're working on right now. That's what the commitment is.
Okay, so.
Yes, it's
I don't have
what needs
like,
to be
fret
done.
all weekend,
Yeah,
because we
if they need to
have-
be.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. It just, it always makes me nervous to see something presented that is, you know, scheduled to be completed in a couple of days and, you know, have the pictures.
Well,
You're in charge, you're in charge of that. You're the expert. I am not. And so just checking in with that. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. So thank you.
Yep.
With the ESSER projects, was there any part of the project or any of the construction that you're aware of that we weren't allowed to have reimbursed by ESSER funds because we preemptively closed structures or buildings? Do you know? Was there anything that had to be given back?
From the ESSER money,
Yes.
I can't answer that
Okay.
specifically. I can
That's-
say that would be the CFO's answer.
Okay.
We ran what we did for construction. We spent the dollars, all the dollars that were there, plus for construction.
Okay, all right, but you know what I'm asking, right? Was there any construction that was done that ended up being wasteful because we preemptively closed buildings? So you're saying to ask the CFO about that?
I guess, let me ask you this question. You're asking if there was some work that we done that couldn't get reimbursed by ESSERS because we were closing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so we had a plan, we had the ESSER schedule, and the idea was that any money for buildings that were going to not have students in them.
Okay, thank you. No,
Yeah.
no, so all the money we spent was on the buildings that will have students in them.
Right, that will have students, but was anything shifted so that you did construction work, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, it was a waste?
There was, all the buildings that we did work on, those are the buildings that Flint Schools is still maintaining. It's not something that's going to be closed or thought to be closed.
Okay, so we did not have to give back ESSER funds that you're aware of?
As it relates to construction, no.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? Seeing no, well, thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you all. Thank you very much. I now call upon Superintendent Jones to present an action item 21.8 to the board.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve action item 21.8, proposal for schematic design oversight for Flint Community Schools District new middle high school campus. And coming here on the stage is Ms. Nicole Blocker. Many of you remember her, not only from the board retreat, but also the planning of consolidation we did just a couple years ago. So thank you for being here and driving over all of that weather, Nicole, and I'll turn it over to the board president.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion the board approves action item 21.8.
Support. It has been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion from
Madam
the
Chair?
board? Yes.
Yeah.
Who was? Trustee Luna?
Yeah, so first off, I want to thank all the residents who came, those who spoke and didn't speak to our meeting tonight to voice their opinion about the campus in sub-zero weather. I think the last I saw was like 1 degree outside. So thank you. Number two, I just want to reiterate some of the points that were made. Number one, this is a one location that's in the central area, no pun intended, in the city, whether you're from the north, the west, south, or east side, where you can access by a highway. So to me, it's about equity and access. Equally as important, it's by Mott College. When it's warm out, it's by even Flint. You can walk there. It's right across from a library. I went there today, bought a book by Jimmy, because I got a book by Jimmy Carter, rented a book by Jimmy Carter, because I wanted some, inspiration during these times. It's by all the different institutions, so that enriches their academic experience at no cost to them. And a bit deeper into that, being by a world-class cultural center, I live 2 blocks from the vacant blighted school myself. And this is not really a knock on anybody, but if you go there right now, a lot of folks who go to the Whiting for a Broadway show, or they go to, you know, FIA for a party or an event, a lot of them don't look like me, both adults and children, and that's okay because, you know, that's not our governance. Us putting a high school, middle school there, in my eyes, democratizes that campus to say, hey, you know what? If you're from the north side of Flint, the west side, south side, the color of your skin, how you look, how much money you make, you're part of this world-class cultural center campus now at no cost to you or your family, and you can use all these institutions because they're yours to use. So I want to emphasize that when it comes to access, being accessible and being equitable. On the piece that we heard about, the architectural piece, they don't build buildings like this anymore. I don't want to knock any of the buildings that the schools have been built in our area, but a lot of these newer schools, they're going to be not the best shape in 20, 30 years because they were built cheaply with cheap materials. The cool thing about Central is, number one, even though it's been through some rough times, it looks really nice if it was given the proper TLC. If you go to the Grand Central Station in Detroit, Ford has about 2,000 employees there. There's about another 1,000 who are like startups. That building's been abandoned, caught on fire, had about a dozen trees on its roof growing for about 40, 50 years. If you go by it now, it's like night and day. It's beautiful. And by the way, the Wi-Fi works inside. You have folks from across the country and world who go there for business and to view it. And really, it's a monument to the city's comeback. And I think that the Flint Central campus could be our model as a comeback city. And again, like the speaker said, this is the one property in that area that is governed by an elected board that the people chose, not a friend who was appointed to a board for a nonprofit. Like, you elected us, and we have the choice to both rebuild it and make it a center of revitalization, or we can build something entirely new and not really recognize our legacy and bring that into the future. So that's a lot to say. I'll support it. As the superintendent said, I want to reiterate, we worked really, really closely with the Brownell Homes Neighborhood Association to design the Brownell Homes campus. I mean, I wasn't in those meetings, but I'm sure they was on you about everything, to the T, giving them space in the cube, the traffic access. I'll just say this, it's 2025. I live 2 blocks from the school. There was a school there for 80 years. I think we can proactively address the traffic issue while taking the input of our neighbors who live near the school. So to me, that's not a mountain, that's a hill to climb, and I think we can do it in a proactive, equitable way. And those are my comments.
Thank you. Are there any more questions pertaining to the content of this proposal?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Trustee Rello had
go
her
ahead.
hand up, I'm sorry.
Hi, how are you? Happy New
Thank you.
Year. One of my main questions for it is, I talked to some of the residents over the years. I'm a product of Flint schools. I remember when Central was open. I recall a lot of streets were closed off once Central closed. And it's not, I don't think it's a lot of straight through traffic, except I think maybe Court and Kersley over in that area. That definitely has to be addressed because of everything that's there now in that area. You're probably looking at maybe 3 streets. And my question is, how, with the influx of a high school and a middle school, first of all, let me make this clear. I 100% support this, you all. But I'm always I want to do it right the first time. I believe the residents that came here, I appreciate them coming because they live there. But however, where it's located, the city is interested in that, not just the neighborhood, but the entire city because of what sits there. I believe everyone in the city of Flint goes in that area. You know, if it's just for FIA or the Whiting or FCC or just going to MOD, if you will. So it's important to me for the traffic to be conducive and that the residents, I hope they don't, well, living by a school, you'll have a lot of traffic, but my hope is that we'll be able to minimize as much inconvenience for that neighborhood.
Thank you. Trustee King?
Oh, one more thing. Because of Central and the material, I definitely want to make sure a lot of that material that Central has built, that it be able to be reused, because a lot of the stuff in that building is priceless, and I think it would be the advantage of the district to maintain as much as we possibly can. I just wanted to publicly speak that. Thank you.
Trustee King?
Yes, I would like to say thank you to all the residents that came out and spoke about 21.8. I think about Sam Cooke. It's been a long time coming. A change is gonna come. That's what I think about when I see this come up for approval, because as we know, our community has been promised a high school years. Schematic designs has been designed. Right now, our Board of Education is moving in the right direction. We submitted our 12D application. We rolling. And you know, Sam Cooke, I like old school music, so that's Sam Cooke is the first person that come to mind. But as it pertains to the residents, I've attended Central Park Neighborhood Association meetings along with Trustee Luna, hearing the feedback. That's one of the things we talked about at the board table. But I know all of my colleagues just want to listen to the community first about, hey, what you would like to see as we modeled that with Brown Homes. And I'm excited to support this resolution and get it done.
Thank you. Board members, Superintendent Jones, for the public and for the record, could you update us on how we got here, the money involved in it, what is expected for the district, and how did we arrive here? And I think that will help the public understand a whole lot of things and how did we get to here.
Sure.
And then if there's any more questions, they can ask you.
Sure. I'll try to be as brief as possible. The Board of Education and the administration has been working to consolidate our district. We have just above 2,700 scholars in our district, and we want to make sure that in our consolidation, we're looking at our footprint. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're closing. It means that we're repurposing and making sure that our scholars that we serve and those scholars that we do not serve have somewhere to come with good programming, as well as modern and updated facilities. And so this is a part of the consolidation. There is a consolidation infrastructure fund that was approved in the education fund this year that Flint Community Schools on last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. I was up till we were up till like 1 a.m. working on this document to make sure our information was correct. And we turned in our 12D application in order for us to receive funding from the state to be a possible match from the Mott Foundation so that we can build our facility. And so we're here because you want to have a program or project manager on board to facilitate construction management, to facilitate schematic design, and to also facilitate our architect work that's going on. And so Plant Moran has been a good support for us over the last 2 years, and we want to make sure we're moving forward with this. And in doing so, board, tonight, we start the process of involving our community neighborhood groups and also our committee. You've already approved us to move forward with our R4 committee, which we will be adding someone from the neighborhood association to that group as well. But we want to make sure that we have someone at the helm to support that as we're managing the district as a whole, doing academics and the regular normal work of every day the everyday district. So Plant Moran is here to support that work and to make sure those that come on to do service, schematic design, it's moving in the proper direction.
Madam, excuse me, Madam Chair. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Did you want to discuss that part? Go ahead, Trustee King.
Yeah, okay. I would also add that I think it would be beneficial if we look into, once we get the approval from 12D, and we look at trying to secure the property, so trying to think about someone, we approve this today, we're the time we live in the community that we live in, and somebody go try to destroy the building or light it on fire. I think it's important if we do some kind of fencing or securing that building when we approve this, and especially when 12D get approved. Thanks.
Any more comments from the board? Seeing no more, I want to say something too. Go ahead.
So thank you very much for coming before the board again. I wanted to say outright that I'm very enthusiastic about this project, and it's something that I've been behind since its inception. As it's developed into this iteration, I know that it has been a contentious site within our city, and most of us, or a lot of us, are aware of the history that's gotten to this point, and I am very excited and enthusiastic to see us trying to rectify some of the wrongs of the past, moving forward in a very positive, expansive, beautiful way for this property, for the Flint schools, for public schools, and for the cultural center. I've always loved the cultural center, even as a little kid. It's something that sets Flint apart from all other cities in the rest of the country. I mean, we are really special having the assets that we do. And we've worked really hard as a community to create generational wealth for our community with these things that have been afforded to us because of the hard work of workers, especially GM workers. And Central was designated as the location for the Central High School, right? We have a lot of design and a lot of planning that's gone, and a lot of thought that's gone into where our schools should be, where our neighborhood schools should be. And even though our population has decreased and our enrollment has decreased, we're still hopeful that that's going to be, that we're going to turn that around somewhat. The rest of the country has demographic challenges. We all face those, but we also have a lot of opportunity because of some of the things that have progressed and developed within our community and with our partnerships. I want to thank everyone who came forward and spoke tonight. It's really encouraging to see people contribute to these meetings in a positive way. It's what we've been asking for, what we've really desperately needed. And you know, I'm very glad to see some familiar faces. I know you've been up here before, and know that you are being heard, you are being listened to, and all of the things that have been mentioned are being taken into consideration, and we do want community input moving forward, absolutely, and we're working as hard as we can to make that better and better. It's a work in progress. We want the best of the newest types of shiny buildings, but we also want to maintain and preserve our legacy and our culture. These facades, these buildings are beautiful. They're incredible. So we want to keep as much of that look, much of the material as possible, at the same time providing all the best we can for our scholars in our community. We want the best of both worlds. And we've been working really hard to try to leverage dollars from grants from federal sources, from state sources, from community partner sources, and we've come so far. It's really exciting to see how far we've come. And so I just want to congratulate you, the team. That being said, I have a couple of points to just make sure that we're good on, because this specific draft that I have right here is, I've only been able to see it for a couple of days, and so some of the language in there, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The PMR fee of $120,000, is that standard?
Yes, it's $15,000 per month for our fee. And that is standard for consolidation, strategic planning, facility master planning services. It is a monthly fee, so if we're done sooner than the 8 months that we're anticipating, then you would not pay, you would only pay for the time that we worked.
Okay, yeah. And part of it is going to be paid from the Flint Community Schools. Do you know, is that coming from our general fund? Or can you speak to that?
It would come from our general fund, and you know we have a fund balance. It will come from that up front.
Okay.
I'll speak that much to it.
Please.
It'll come from that up front.
And is there a reason why it's the amount that it is? And I guess my question is, why is it $50,000 from a foundation and $70,000 from our general fund?
Well, we just wanted to, in my conversation with the team, we wanted to show that Flint Community Schools will own some of this up front, and we did not want the foundation to take the brunt of the front work. We wanted to show that we are going to invest in this ourselves and do some investment up front. So remember, though, that the monies we are using all goes into or coming out of the monies we're going to receive for the overall project of the high school. So the investment to say we're going to do this up front was just a good faith effort in us putting our foot forward instead of completely relying on someone else to do the work for us.
I just wanted to ask these questions publicly, because I know that when I first looked at the document, they were questions that I had, and I want to just have it all out there. If the Mott Foundation is paying for a significant portion, for $50,000 of this, what are the strings attached to that?
We don't have any strings.
I
We don't have any strings. No one is asking for buildings. No one is asking for Flint to do anything
I know the
outside
answer.
of this
I
work.
wanted it
Yeah.
just to be
No,
stated, because
there's no
I'm,
strings.
I hear things, out in the public and communities about like why this sudden turn of events, what has happened, what's been promised, what's been happening behind closed doors. You went to a retreat, and, we want to make sure that it's transparent and it's open and it's above board, and I want to give an explanation as to why I am now enthusiastically looking to the Mott Foundation to partner with us when I've been such a large critic in the past. So I just wanted to have that out there. We are still looking for partnerships that are partners, and I just wanted to say that this, I feel, is truly a partnership. Obviously, we have to, do the work and do our due diligence, but I want the public and the community to be reassured that this is Flint schools, and this is our project. It is community-driven and community-based. So, sorry to be really pedantic about that, but I just wanted it to be The only other thing I have is, what does the single point of contact with Flint Community Schools, what does that look like?
That looks like, it depends on what it is. It might be, well, I'm the single point of contact.
Okay.
Let me just say it like that. I'm the single point of contact, working on behalf of what the board has put out as vision to ensure that the work that's being done by Plant Moran gets done properly and it is streamlined. Instead of working with 8 or 9 people, they're going to be working through the superintendent.
Okay, and it just is, it says you're going to provide the necessary approvals and facilitate communication, but this is still very much board-driven and a board decision. Yeah. Okay. And then Plant Moran is going to do one board presentation? Okay.
Yeah, during the schematic design phase, but I do want to reiterate, we are part of the committee that will be meeting with the community and listening to the community, doing surveys so that we understand the community needs, their input. So as we develop the design, that is being considered as a part of the future middle high school campus.
Okay. And then the last thing I had was the escalation path. Do we have a boilerplate agreement for, it says we will agree on a suitable escalation path and resolution? Is that something that we have that's standard in the contract, or?
Yes, that is standard in the contract. That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
So we appreciate your questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that there's no any more questions, I do want to make a statement to the graduate of the last one before Central got torn down. I think it was 2000. I meant close. I got calls from a few 12th graders that graduated. One was my daughter, a few of them was her friends, and they're saying the same sentiment that the people came in and spoke. They love Central, and they want to keep that part of it. They also said they want us to go in there and look and, you know, maybe create a wall or hall, because they saw somebody went in, took pictures, and they down in Atlanta in different places. So I think that we're on the right track, and it's good to hear that our young people, even though they might be out of town, they're still concerned about their high school. And so I am agreement with this proposal. I have no objection. If there are any more discussion, we should be wrapping this up and getting ready for a roll call vote. Do we all agree? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve action item 21.8, proposal for schematic design oversight for Flint Community School District new middle/high school campus. Board members, I call your name. Please say yes or no. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Looney?
Yes.
Myself, Mike Neal, 7 yes, 0 no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Board members, at this time, I would like to invite MSG Consultant to join us for the government relation update. Give me a minute. Which one? It shouldn't be that long. They just update. Oh, we got Truman, wait a minute, shoot. Oh, I didn't know you had him on this, he's not on here.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Where about? Because we could have. Where is it at? I didn't see the JCI on here. On mine. Did I skip something? Oh, don't do the right thing. Then I turn it over to you. Turn it up. Okay. Oh, he making good money today. proceed. Good afternoon, proceed.
Hello. Thank you, board members, superintendent. Just wanted to give you an update. We came on board at the end of last year, and to say it was like getting shot out of a cannon with lame duck session was an understatement. But just want to give you an update of what kind of transpired in lame duck, where we got to on behalf of the school, which is very impressive, actually, and where things are going as far
Point
as...
of information.
Yep.
Just for the record, could you introduce yourself, say who you are and what it is?
Yes.
I think that would be.
Sorry.
the best way to start
Jeremiah Mankoff with MGS Consultants.
Omar Sims with MGS Consultants and a Flint graduate.
So what do you do for the Flint Board of Education?
We represent the board in Lansing on behalf of government affairs. We do track legislation. We go after grants. We fight for Flint and make sure that the money comes back to the city and the schools. And we are going to give it all we have. And we actually, like I said, made a lot of good progress in the last month and a half.
Okay, thank you. Proceed.
Good, okay. So with that, when the last conversation, so when we started, we were going after an appropriations. And it was a very tumultuous lame duck session that had a lot of ups and downs and ended up with them doing nothing, which was quite frustrating, I think, for all parties, for sure. But that being said, so we were originally, as we said, we're going after an appropriations for the schools, for some of the demolition of some of the buildings. What transpired is that actually with some of that school consolidation grant, we actually got buy-in from the House and Senate leadership and the governor's office to actually specifically put some of those grant funds to go directly to Flint, meaning it was going to be named in there, right? Because they're not named. We were going to actually, essentially it's called boilerplate. So it was going to actually go, I was going to say Flint Community Schools, this consolidation funds will go there. And we actually had it in the budget, was ready to go. We had, at the time, it was Senator Rivet, who's Congresswoman Rivet now, but we had the House and Senate, both chairs, leadership was all bought in on it. And we worked until after midnight, at least 3 of the nights doing that. And at the end of the day, the House just couldn't get all their people there to vote. And they left, and so that's what transpired. But I wanted to give you an update on that because if they would have actually passed the bills, we would have had a great success. So I want to give you an update on that because it was a lot of fast and furious. With that, now looking forward to this year, a couple things. One, we do now have the House of Representatives flipped. It's now Republican majority. That being said, a couple dates to keep in mind. There's the governor's State of the State, which is going to be February 26th. Session started about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Nothing really has transpired. People started introducing bills. We talked about one of the important roles is not only action items and deliverables for the board and for the school district, but to keep you apprised of what's transpiring in Lansing, that you know about what's going on as far as K through 12. And among other things, that you know what they're looking to propose for legislation so that you can weigh in on that while they're in the process of creating it as opposed to after they've decided what they want to do. So with that, they're going to be introducing bills in the next few weeks. They'll start trickling in. What we'll do is we'll comprise categories of different bills. We'll summarize all of them. We will send them out, and then based on your feedback, we want some more information here, we like some of that, we will tailor that to what we need to get involved with legislatively, right? That's going to be transpiring. The second part of that is they're going to be selecting committee members. So in Lansing right now, they're just gearing up, like at a snail's pace right now. So everything really will kick off after the governor's State of the State, which is on the 26th. And then we'll probably be having a Lansing Day for some of the board members, superintendent, to come to Lansing, introduce yourself, a lot of new members to meet. The best way to be successful is to build a relationship with some of the key individuals there. So looking forward to working with the board and the superintendent to identify what are some appropriations that we can go after this year. I said before, so the appropriations process is something that starts to get moving in April, and it usually concludes in June. So we have a little bit of runway there as far as to figure out what the needs are and what we'd like to go after in that regard. So again, today was to be brief, but to give you an update of the absolute chaos that transpired in the session at the end of the year, and to know that Omar and I worked very hard, but we were very pleasant surprised that you had a lot of allies in Lansing, believe it or not, that were actually very positive, very supportive, and wanted to help. So I'll pause for questions.
Are there any questions, board members?
Madam Chair.
Proceed.
Yeah, thanks for your work in Lansing. I think in the circle of control, we couldn't stop the house from imploding.
No.
Yeah, so thank you for that again. It's no secret that there's about $1 billion of surplus in the state budget, and probably every interest group or every lobbyist and their clients are asking for a cut of that pie.
They will be, yes.
Yeah, so I would just say continue to advocate for us, because, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? We're repurposing schools, reducing our overhead. We're looking at additional revenues when it comes to enrollment, possibly shared services, et cetera. You know, we're leveraging their money with other money sources to make our own capital improvements. So we're not asking the state to cover it all. You just saw that we put skin in the game for hiring Plant Moran. So we're not just spending the money that we get from the federal government, from the state, from philanthropy. We're investing in for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And if they need to come see Brownell Homes, if they need to come see the vacant lot where we tore Washington down with money that should have been spent on children, or if they want to come see McKinley, Northern, literally see through Stewart or Bryant on Pearson Road, then they're more than welcome to. And that goes Republicans, Democrats, and folks who work for Governor Whitmer. So we're open to partnership, like my colleague, Trustee McIntyre, said. But, I mean, our numbers, our phones go off daily, emails go off daily. They should be about educating children, or, hey, we want to improve this tutoring services. For me, at least, 9 out of 10 times, it's about an abandoned building by their home, or someone doing some kind of activity where that should be their vacant lot or a part of that community that's beneficial. So again, just keep that in mind, and thank you so much for your work.
Yeah, thank you for that. And actually, to add more onto that, so we actually brought some members of the legislature down in December, right? And thank you for superintendent, for the board, for actually moving very quickly, because it was a very fast-paced. And to your point you just made, when Senator came down and a couple others came down and they saw what the board is doing, and they saw that what the money that you were asking for the repurposing, what they're doing, and when they came back to Lansing and explained that to their other members, they were pleasantly surprised, and they were very happy to see that. Like, they were, like, Republicans and the Democrats both were, they're like, this is fantastic. So this is something we can get behind. So to your point, when that was actually for the lame duck session, we actually had Republicans and Democrats support of that. So that tells you that you're doing a phenomenal job, truly, because to get that big group of Republicans and Democrats bipartisan supporting the efforts of the Flint schools is fantastic. It really is.
Yes.
Yep.
Trustee McIntyre.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you. I'm, to use that word, relieved to put ourselves in your very competent, capable hands, and your knowledge and expertise is just, I'm overwhelmed with relief, because we need somebody in our corner to be fighting with us. This is, something that is in my opinion, is a necessary evil. You probably love this kind of work, but I can't stand it, and it makes me very angry, so I'm glad to hand it over. You know, and I'm encouraged by the forward momentum that we've made. And I think your track record speaks for itself, and yeah, I'm just very, very grateful. I still haven't recovered from the adopt and amend nonsense in 2016, so my hat's off to you for dealing with legislature, especially in the lame duck session. Like I said, it makes me very angry, and I'm glad to have experts who are helping us navigate our way through this. So again, anything that we can do as a board, this is in my mind, a no-brainer partnership, and let's just keep moving forward. And know, I know what you guys, I mean, I don't know the details of what you guys have been going through during lame duck, but you really don't have to, you know, provide an explanation for why things didn't work or why they did. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And it's like I said, thank God you guys are dealing with it and not me, because I would be, you know, but I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Keep just doing what you do, and we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you. We got our gloves laced up for you.
I guess I have the final remarks. I want to thank you for bringing the different delegates and the senator. She had just won the election. We had just brought you guys on board, and you made it happen. It was the last minute, but they came to the administration building and gave us ideals and stuff. And what we was asking for, I think we also going to include, they're probably going to include that in the boiling pot. But I appreciate you opening that door, because yeah, I don't think we could have gotten them at the table. Very seldom you can get senators and Congress right after the election to come and say, hey, I want to walk McKinley, I want to go see, but the weather was bad. And but they was willing, because she was excited when we made that call and said, this is what I need to do. I need these 4 buildings torn down. And they came here immediately, because that's what we asked you to do. So keep up the good work. Hope to see you in DC. Do you have any more thing you want to say, Mr. Omar? You've been kind of quiet, so and once you speak, we have an attorney that's on the clock, and he's doing very well right about now. So go ahead and speak.
No, I just want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity, and we do look forward to representing you. And in DC, we expect to meet with some of our legislators in DC to talk about work of Flint. And the word in Lansing, this is a new Flint team. And you know, when our Genesee County delegation of Democrats and Republicans, and Jeremiah already said, that's the word in Lansing. This is not the same old Flint. This is not on 1101 South Saginaw Street. Okay? And I said what I had to say without saying it. So you guys are doing a great job, and we're thankful for having the opportunity to support you.
Thank you, and happy belated birthday.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Happy belated.
He was in the DR for a couple days.
Thank you very much, and great job you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Omar. Thank you.
Superintendent Jones.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even see this. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve action item 21.9, settlement agreement and release between Flint Community Schools and Johnson Controls Incorporated. And coming to the stage is our attorney that has been working with this. And remember, Board of Education, you met on the full scope of this work over a month ago, and had a closed session to discuss this. So just, we've done that work that you called us to do, and now we're here to try to bring this to a close.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve 21.9.
Support.
Who supported? It has been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I got to say real quickly, there's trustees in this board, new and more veteran, and some who have since transitioned from the board, and they've been talking about this for years. I didn't know about it until I really read through the legal documents and heard the commentary, and I'm just glad we're putting this past us. I wish it was a bit better for us, but, you know, I think it's a good direction, and we just got to close that door and keep it closed for a while. So, thank you.
Any more discussion?
By me being a new board member.
McIntyre had her hand, then you. Thank you.
Thank you for your due diligence and all the work and the work of explaining this very complicated situation. I share Trustee Luna's dismay at what's transpired, and it's just an unfortunate situation that we inherited. And but I want to just state publicly that I am so disappointed and disgusted with Johnson Controls, and I will be glad if we never have to see them ever again. And shame on them for their participation with a school district and the way that they handled their business. While it may have been legal, it was not ethical or moral.
Point of information. Remember, we have a confidential and non-disparaging agreement here that was in closed door, and I think.
Okay, well then, I apologize, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to backtrack some of that. I am, yeah. All right.
Trustee.
Thank you for that.
Booth, thank you.
Okay, I remember that name back in 2022, so I probably need to restrain from asking any questions. But I just needed to, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
I'll
Yep, I can just,
Yeah, okay.
so our city gave us bonds and to do some HVAC work. JCI was brought on to do that work. We had some complications in between, and now we're at the place with that money. This is not monies that is going to be utilized for anything except for finishing out that work.
Okay.
And it is under what we have left to pay. So this is the best way to move that forward, to end that work from the bond that the community has given us the opportunity to utilize funds for.
So they got obligated to complete the work, or
Yes.
they do have to
Yep,
complete it?
everything's, yep. All the work is completed.
Okay.
We're just completing our portion of the payment to
Okay.
them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yeah, if I could just add, it's a long time coming, and it's nice to close this chapter.
Yes, it
You know, it's a compromise, but it provides the district some finality with the services that were provided.
Are there any more questions or comments? Seeing no further question, comment, we will conduct a roll call vote for action item 21.9. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Relaford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
And myself, Mike Mills, 7 yes, 0 no. Thank you.
Great. And Superintendent Jones, in terms of the payment, who should I contact?
Contact me,
You,
and I will work with our CFO to ensure that things are done properly.
Okay, fantastic, because there's a January 31st
Absolutely.
deadline, so that's
Oh,
Friday
sure
after
is,
this
yeah.
one.
Yep, absolutely. If you contact me tomorrow, we'll get on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Superintendent Jones, please continue with the human resource action item. Do I have yours? Okay, I do, yeah.
Okay. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve Resolution 1.1, Personnel Recommendation.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
make a motion to approve 1.1.
Support.
You've been properly moving second. Is there any discussion? Oh, I don't have yours. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, All right, is there any discussion? No? Seeing there's no discussion, we will conduct a roll call vote for, this is what, Resolution 1.1, personnel recommendation. Board members, I call your name, say yes or no. Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Relaford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
McNeil? Yes. 7 yes, 0 no.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve item 1.2.
Support.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the discussion I have is simply, again, a long time coming. We finally going away from a traditional, balanced calendar, right, to a traditional calendar, right? It's good to see that. Thanks.
Board members, any other discussion? Item 1.2, the agreement between the school district, the city of Flint, and the United Teachers of Flint.
Madam Chair?
UTF, yes.
Yeah, I have one comment.
Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to the team, specifically Mr. Jones and Miss Montgomery. And if I missed anyone else, I'm sorry. And maybe Ms. Fields, were you involved in that as well? Okay, and Mrs. Cleaves and et cetera. Thank you for doing that work. Number one, I just think students and teachers want it. Number two is to help with enrollment, hopefully, knock on wood. And number three, it's been a long time coming, so really appreciate your work on that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I
Trustee
just want
Rutherford.
clarification here on February 2027. It's a handwritten 10. What is, can somebody explain that?
What page you on?
55.
Yeah, that was originally for count day. We weren't able to change it at enough time because the UTF actually had a copy of the Excel document and they didn't share it with me yet, so we had to write it in. But count day was actually listed as the 11th, but the actual date is the 10th.
Okay, so this will be changed. This has been changed.
Yes, yep, correct.
Thank you. Good catch. Any more questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will now conduct a roll call for action item, Resolution 1.2. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Relaford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna?
Yes.
McNeil, who is myself, yes. 7 yes.
Board President, before you go on, this is the earliest in many, many years. I probably will say double-digit years that our academic team and our teachers have the opportunity to have a calendar this early to start planning for the school year. So hats off to you, Board, for approving this and getting this done. So thank you very much.
Board member, in your package is information, thank you very much, sorry. It is information regarding retirement and resignation. Do any board member have any questions? Seeing no question, board member, in your package, a VARTEC monthly update for December. Do any board member have any questions? Seeing no questions or comment. Do any board member have any comments or remarks before we adjourn?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a couple comments. First off, I want to give a shout out to my old high school principal, Mr. Art Winslow in the back. For those of you who don't know Mr. Winslow, he has a deep history with Flint Community Schools. He used to be a community school director, did a lot of work with Atwood Stadium, Flint Sports, and I've known him for at least 20 years. This guy really does a lot for the community. He literally feeds people, keeps folks warm. I don't want to give out his business too much, but he literally has given people transportation in more ways than one to get to where they need to be at. And he's at a young man at 50 years old. I think that's a lot. And I know during these cold times, he's doing some good work too, keeping people, alive and feeling good about themselves. So thank you, Mr. Winslow. Second, I just want to reiterate to my colleagues and to the community that there's a reason why this board, including Superintendent Jones and his team, and the union leadership have been able to do some of these things over the last year or so, right? Some of it hasn't been easy, in particular, repurposing schools. the backpack issue. If you look across the country, states and districts are looking at the cell phone being, taken out the classroom. I think for tonight's purposes, we're talking about redeveloping a high school that's been shuttered for over 10 years, if not 15 years. That doesn't happen in a vacuum. For us to do that, we have to have a cohesive team that's focused on governance and kids. If you're focused on personalities, fighting, past fights, etc., number one, no one's gonna give us a damn dime. But more importantly, no one's gonna trust us to really deliver. On that same note, let me be clear, we have a lot of challenges that we have to face when it comes to our structural deficit, effectively repurposing schools, working with our unions to make sure that they feel that they're in a right place. I mean, I can go on for a long time about all the serious challenges that we have to address as a board. We know that. It's been decades in the making, but again, we're rolling up our sleeves. We're showing that we can do this, and everyone on this board has given, valuable feedback. And I will say one last thing. I was serious about working with the skilled trades, specifically the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. They're a great union. They've done some great works at our schools, and I would love to partner with them as a district on looking at some of these vacant lots. I know my colleague, Trustee Williford, mentioned putting some playgrounds down at some of these vacant lots that we've torn down where schools used to sit at. I think that would be a good show of partnership to work on that so that the people who live around those vacant lots, specifically I'm thinking of Washington, it's a green field right now, but that could quickly become a place where folks begin to dump stuff at. If there's like a playground there or like a walking track circle, I think that would improve the quality of life of students and families in those kinds of areas. And those are my comments. Thank you. Have a good night.
Is there any more comments from the board? The Board of Education will hold its next meeting on Wednesday, February the 12th at 6:30 p.m. here at ALA. Seeing no further business of the board, I declare the regular board meeting adjourned at 8:09.